everyone, my name is Michaela Heron and I'm a dietetic intern with Grey Bruce Public Health, and I'm here today to show you how to make lentil bolognese. This pasta has a secret ingredient in it that adds so much nutrition, but you can barely notice it in the sauce. So what is the secret ingredient? Lentils. Lentils have so much protein and fiber and vitamins and minerals, especially iron. Iron is really important in our body for transporting oxygen around on red blood cells, and a lot of us don't get enough of it. Those most at risk are women, vegetarians, and children, especially those just starting to eat at around 6 months. Deficiencies of iron or not getting enough iron can cause mood symptoms such as fatigue or low energy, and irritability, and also inability to focus. So we really want to make sure we get enough iron for all populations, but especially those three that I mentioned. First, we're gonna chop the onion. The recipe calls for it diced, so I'm just gonna start by cutting it in half. And then creating a small little cut just to get the peel off. And then once you have the half of the onion with peel off, you can start cutting lengthwise, just thin cuts across. And make sure you curl your fingers beside the knife so you don't get your finger cut. And once you have these thin slices, you can take them and turn them around and cut them the other way. So we're gonna go chopping in small pieces, as small as you can get. About 1 inch is good. So now we have our onion and we are going to measure it. We need about ½ cup. So I'm gonna put it in here. Having a bit of extra onion too is never a bad thing. It'll just add a bit more flavor. So if you want, you could also add up to a cup of onion. Now we're gonna chop the mushrooms. So we're gonna slice them lengthwise. Now that we have the mushrooms, we are going to cut the garlic. So we're going to start with cutting the ends off to make it easier to peel. And then we're going to be mincing the garlic, which means cutting it into really, really small pieces. So you could also use a garlic press. That would be easier, but today I'm just going to be showing you how to mince it. Take the piece of garlic and cut it lengthwise. And then once again, you're gonna flip it over and then cut it the other way into very, very small pieces, as small as you can get. And then you're gonna bunch it up and then cut through again. Just as many times you're gonna keep cutting through until it gets smaller and smaller. And we're gonna do this for 3 cloves. Now we are going to add the pasta to boiling water. To get the pasta in the water, you can just spin it around, just lightly, until it starts to soften. And then it's just gonna go right into the pot. And continue to keep stirring for a minute or 2, and then you can leave it be. Now we're going to be adding a little bit of oil to another pan and adding the mushrooms, the onion, and the garlic. also going to be adding a little bit of Italian seasoning. If you don't have this, don't worry about it. You can also use basil, oregano, thyme, any of those spices. And just give it a good stir. Next, we're gonna drain and rinse our lentils. So draining and rinsing them gets rid of all the gas-causing compounds that can be present in canned lentils. So it's really important to rinse them thoroughly and get rid of all of the bubbles. So once the bubbles start disappearing, then you know that you've rinsed it well enough. Next, we're going to be adding the canned tomato sauce. So today I'm just using fire roasted tomato and garlic, but you can use any type of pasta sauce that you have in your house. When looking for pasta sauce, you want to look for something ideally that has 15% or less sodium. So if you look at this one, it has about 17%, which is just slightly over the 15% that we want. So this would be okay, but it's not ideal. So just looking at the nutrition facts is really important because we can determine which is the better option. We're now going to be adding the lentils. Remember how I was talking about iron in the beginning of this segment and how important it is? Well, vitamin C actually supercharges iron, and the tomatoes, or the tomato sauce in this recipe, tend to be really high in vitamin C. So we're gonna take that iron from the lentils and the vitamin C from the tomato sauce, and it's gonna be absorbed a lot more efficiently in our body. For our next step, I'm going to be adding a bit of frozen spinach that has been thawed in the microwave. So just adding this to the pasta in the last 5 minutes will be perfect because you don't need to cook it for very long. It just needs to sink into the sauce. I used frozen spinach today because it is more budget friendly. So I tend to keep it in my freezer and it's just easier to keep for longer. Now that I've drained the pasta and the sauce is all done cooking, we can serve it in a bowl or on a plate. So start by adding a little bit of pasta to the bowl and then adding the bolognese on top. And then you can also top it with some cheese. I'm using Parmesan today, but cheddar, mozzarella, any type of cheese will be just fine. Enjoy!